Look, man, when you fail and when you hit a setback or when you might hit a roadblock, you might take an L in something. That's not the end, man. Like that's not the ending point. Failure is an opportunity. Failure is the beginning to a new chapter. Every failure comes with an opportunity in disguise. Opportunity to learn, opportunity to grow, an opportunity to change something, an opportunity to adapt in new ways. Like failure is an opportunity, and I know it may not feel like that in the moment because you're so stuck on the L you took, you're so stuck on that setback. But you got to be mature enough to view these things as an opportunity. Because failure reveals growth in many different areas. It reveals growth in areas you may not have seen before. Because failing and losing and hitting a roadblock shows you what you need to work on. Like there's a reason you failed. There's a reason you took that, or there's a reason you hit that roadblock. And it's not because you're not capable. It's not because you haven't put the work in or you haven't put the time or the energy in. It's because you just didn't know that you needed to work on that. You never got the experience to do that. So it creates an opportunity for you to learn. It creates an opportunity for you to grow in the area that you need to grow in. So it's not a final judgment. It's not you getting down on yourself. It is not you not being good enough. It's just feedback. It's just feedback for you to get better. It's just feedback for you to become who you want to be. If we don't fail in life, bro, like we're never going to reach our full potential. If we don't fail, we're never going to be able to grow because we always think we're doing everything right. We always think that everything's all peaches and cream when it's not. Like you gotta fail. And I'm not saying you're always gonna fail, but you pretty much are always gonna fail, bro. Like I always say, you're gonna fail 1,000 times before you succeed in anything that you're doing. But all these failures are learning opportunities. All these failures are opportunities for you to grow, for you to learn new things and adapt in new different ways. And all these failures are also building your resilience. Like I said, if we never fail and we always succeed in everything that we do, we're never going to be resilient. We're never going to learn or know how to adapt when something bad happens. We're never going to learn how to grow in an uncomfortable situation. So these failures are building your resilience in the process. The hard times, the struggles, the failures, the losses, man, these are only teaching you persistence. They're teaching you mental toughness. They're teaching you resilience through every situation. Yeah, you might have failed in this field, but you know how to attack it, or you know how to go about it if you fail in another field or you fail in another area. The people who are successful, the people who have grown a lot and who went big, they're not the people who never fail. They're the people who don't quit when they fail. They're the people who don't give up. They find new ways to learn. They find new ways to grow when they do fail. Like I said, you're gonna fail 1,000 times before you succeed one time. So when you do experience failure, man, or when you do take that L, you do hit that roadblock, like don't quit or don't give up. Don't stop just because you failed. You're gonna fail. It's inevitable. Like it's life. There's gonna be some hard times. There's gonna be some times where you're not moving in the right direction. But that's okay. That's where you grow. That's where you learn. That's where you adapt and you change. And if you want to be at the top, you want to be successful, you want to become the best version of yourself, like you can't quit when you fail. You got to be resilient. You got to have that mental toughness. You got to be persistent. You got to let your discipline kick in, and you just got to learn from it. You just got to grow. You just got to, you know, keep moving forward as much as you can. And I know it's going to be hard because you just took that L. I know it's going to be hard because you just failed. But you got to know in the back of your mind that this failure in this moment, in this situation, is teaching you something. It's not just all bad. There's good that comes out of failures all the time because you learn, because you grow, and because that failure opens new doors that you might not have never been able to open before. Sometimes that plan didn't work, or sometimes you failed or you hit that roadblock because God has something better for you, because you weren't supposed to go down that path, because you weren't supposed to go down that door or open that door, my bad. Like, it's not just failure. Like sometimes it doesn't work and it doesn't go how you want it to go because there's something better for you, because you weren't meant to go down that path. Failure redirects you towards opportunities that you might have overlooked. It redirects you towards opportunities and doors that you might have seen and was like, nah, I don't want to do that. But God had a better plan for you. God had a bigger plan for you that, you might not have seen, the first time down. So God is gonna you know, allow you to try your way. God is going to allow you to try your plan out, and you're going to fail. You know, you're not supposed to go down that path, so he's going to redirect you. And through that failure, you're going to walk into something bigger. You're going to walk into a better opportunity, a better job, a better situation, a better environment in your life. You know, so sometimes you got to view failures as, you know, new opportunities or new doors that are opening. You know, so when you do come across a failure, man, or when you do, you know, take an L or you hit a roadblock or, you know, you take some steps back, like, this life is going to happen. But you can't ask yourself, like, why did I fail? You know, you can't ask yourself, like, why did this happen to me? Because, like I said, it's not because of your capabilities. You know, it's not because you haven't worked hard enough. It's not because you haven't prepared. Like, failures are going to happen, man. So you got to ask yourself, like, what is this failure or what is this L or this roadblock teaching me? You know, how can I grow from this? How can I overcome this? How can I keep moving forward without getting stuck? You know, because if you keep, or not keep, but if you use, you know, failure in the right way, it becomes your greatest teacher. It becomes the biggest opportunity in the biggest moments where you grow. But you got to use it the right way, man. You can't get stuck and you can't get lost when you fail, because it's only another opportunity coming your way, another opportunity to grow, another opportunity to learn, another door opening, like whatever it may be, man. So you can't, you know, view it as something that's negative. Yeah, it might be negative in the moment, but in the grand scheme of things, like, it's not negative. You know, failure, it's not the opposite of success. It's part of your success. It's part of your growth. It's part of you becoming the person who you want to be. It's part of you reaching your goals and your dreams. You know, so don't fear failure. Use it to your advantage. Use it as moments to grow. Use it as moments to learn, and just watch how much your life changes when you really start to learn and you really start to look for avenues and ways to grow when you fail. But that'll be all for this video, man. I appreciate y'all for tuning in. If you like this video, go hit that sub button on the way to 600 subs. Appreciate y'all. I love y'all. And I'll see y'all in the next one.